Hello friends, my name is Eugene and today I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the prettiest towns in southern Ontario and one of my personal favorite cities in Canada called Cambridge. And small disclaimer, this is not Cambridge, United Kingdom, this is not Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm going to be talking about Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. Let's go! Cambridge is located in southern Ontario, a short drive from Toronto, in the heart of an area known as the Golden Horseshoe. Why Golden Horseshoe, you may ask? Well, this is why. The west end of Lake Ontario does resemble a horseshoe. And why golden? Well, if you're talking about literally anything of major importance in Ontario, it's all happening here. City itself is part of a region called Tri-Cities, the first city being Cambridge itself with roughly 140,000 people. The second city is Kitchener with about 240,000 good folks. And the third city is Waterloo with a little more than 100 Waterloovians. It is worth mentioning that there's a fourth city that wanted to join the party but was never invited. It's the good old Guelph. But don't worry, Guelph, one day through the process of natural growth and expansion, all these cities will be part of one big megacity. Cambridge itself is basically three beautiful small towns merged together. City of Gold to the south, City of Preston to the center, City of Hespeler to the north, and other random areas that are kinda empty now but will eventually become copy-paste average-looking suburban houses and strip plazas. This here is the official logo of the city and it's basically a tongue. Now that's that for our little Geography 101. Let's go see the place, shall we? Now, a few words on the history of Cambridge. To be completely honest with you, unlike its amazing architecture, the history of Cambridge is not particularly interesting. In fact, it's pretty boring. As a matter of fact, the story of Cambridge, as well as the story of most North American cities of similar size, follow the same pattern, which goes something like this. Native Americans lived here peacefully until around in 17 to 1800s. European settlers started to come in, mostly from England, Scotland, or Germany. These guys would, have a few fights with the natives, would sign a few treaties here and there, until eventually the land would be sold to these settlers for basically next to nothing. Upon becoming legal owners of the land, these settlers would establish some kind of an enterprise, usually a mill or a farm. Then they would bring in their homies from their native lands and the settlement would grow. Schools and churches would be built, maybe a post office. As the number of settlers grew, a railroad would come in and at that point the size of the population would grow exponentially. Consequently, larger and larger manufacturing businesses would come in. Some would be of huge size, like a Toyota factory, for example, here in Cambridge. Then highways and malls will be built on the outskirts of the city, basically killing the downtown commerce. And fast forward to a more recent time though, as a lot of retail has moved online and malls are basically becoming dinosaurs, people are looking for better options on how to spend their time and their money. And towns like Cambridge that have managed to preserve their historical neighborhoods and downtowns are experiencing a revival because, you know, as it turns out, they're cute, and people back in the day actually knew how to build cool and interesting projects. As a result, cities are pouring tons of money into downtowns in order to support interesting and unique shops and businesses and restaurants to attract people here. Oh, and I think it would be impolite of me to at least not mention the gentleman who officially founded Cambridge, and they would be William Dixon to my left and the guy in glasses called Epsilon Shade to my right. I spoke about how a lot of money is poured into the restoring old buildings in this city. Well, most of them are being refurbished in such a way that they tend to look how they used to look when they were initially built. Well, however, some buildings are restored in quite a unique way. Notice something unusual? Well, I am an architect and I know very little about design theory, but I have figured out how they do it. There's a formula to this, and hear me out, it's only 2 steps. Step number 1, find an old, nice-looking building. Step number 2, attach a glass cube or rectangle to it in the most awkward way possible. And that's it, pretty much. I can't decide how I feel about this style. I mean, it looks kind of cool, but will it still look interesting like 30 years from now? Like, I don't know. I mean, at some point in the past, people thought that, you know, brutalist architecture looked nice. I mean, today it looks kind of wonky if you ask me. So I guess only time will tell. Downtown Gold is located in the Grand River Valley, and it has all these cool old churches and 19th century historical buildings and nice bridges. And because all that is built on the river, and because there are relatively few people here and little traffic, this place is perfect for movie sets. In fact, lots of Hollywood movies are done here, and not just any genre. The place is pretty moody. Like, if you walk or drive around on a foggy or rainy day or any time in winter when there's no sun, you'll notice that you can almost sense this aura of mystique and suspense here. I mean, if you have if you use your imagination a little bit. And as a result of that, most of the movies that are filmed here are not like comedies or, these jolly movies. It's mostly horrors and thrillers and dramas and various other movies of dystopian nature.
Pleasure is with me.
They're in. Frank said you wanted me with you. Yes, I thought it might be nice to have a bit of girl time together.
Priest, a doctor, a gay man. I think I heard that joke once.
Oh, and by the way, this wall that's behind me, apart from people being hanged from it in movies, served another important purpose. It basically prevents the city from being flooded. In 1974, there was a huge flood that produced a couple of really iconic photos, but it was devastating for the city, and eventually they decided, like, hey, we need to fix this situation, and so they built a bunch of walls on each side of the river. So, you know. I'm at a brewery called Farmley, and I'm having an interesting beer called Fun Police IPA. And the reason I'm here, the reason I'm at a brewery, is the mere fact that I wanted to let people know that there are a lot of breweries here in Cambridge. In fact, there are more than twice as many breweries here as there are McDonald's restaurants, which I find amazing. And all these breweries specialize in different things. One is good at making sour beers, another one ages their beers in tequila and whiskey barrels. One is a concert venue for local artists, another one is a spot for people to bring their dogs and hang out with them. And I guess for these breweries to be competitive in this tight market, they have to put a lot of thought into branding and into the designs of their labels. Now, I like beers, but I'm a sucker for good designs, and I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek into some of the amazing beer labels these breweries come up with. And a small disclaimer, I'm not getting paid by any of them. I just genuinely enjoy talking about this topic. In this video, I attempted to capture things that I personally find interesting about the city of Cambridge. Obviously, there are many other areas that I would have loved to cover, like local trails and parks, the economy, restaurants, local touristic areas. But I thought it would be a bit of an overkill to show too much, especially now that we live in an era of 10-second TikTok videos. But if you had fun watching it, and if you would like to see more content of this kind, potentially about other Canadian cities, please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear any feedback, both good or bad. I could have ended the video there, but there's one last thing before I go. In 2016, Cambridge held an international street art festival, and artists from all over the world came here and painted over 20 murals on the walls of historical buildings. Now, me and my lovely friend Priyanka decided to have some fun and walk around and film some of them. Now, this is the official end of the video. Cheers, guys. Until the next time.